not prioritizing Abel or PP God in this sense. There's definitely a bit of a shift away from what we've seen priorities for a lot of the regions around the world, is that this isn't what, you know, a lot of LPL teams have seen. They think that the jungler is far more important. They feel like they can get a little bit more done, and they aren't as afraid to kind of break the mold a little bit. They're not willing to go for that handshake. They're willing to kind of say, okay, we're going to shake things up. If it doesn't work, fine, we fall flat on our faces, but if it does, you got something to think about in game 2.
But the reason why I like the Sejuani first pick as well for OMG is putting the nameplates on as well. You look at the picks which particularly Creme plays, and we can talk about Shanji as well, but Shanji, you know that he plays a lot of his melees, we know that he plays a lot of different champions. That applies to Creme as well. OMG, one of the reasons they're so unique is that they have Creme playing stuff like the Yone, the Sylas, the Kassadin, which are all going to combo up very well with that Sejuani. I think that Lee Sin coming in is meant to be a bit of an answer to that, because now if you are playing against a Lee Sin, which has been buffed on 13.3, the Annie, which is of course really rising priority across that world, you lock in something like a Yone. You know, the last time we saw Annie mid being played was into Yone as a counter, but we got to show up a little bit about that. I love this so much. This is OMG absolute classic. If you want to see OMG's composition in terms of what defines them, it's this kind of composition. Long-range engage with these solo laners picking some flair.
Yeah, and again, this is just typical to what OMG like to do. They know they can put Shanji onto an AP mid or AP top laner. They know they can just kind of prioritize this Aki Creme setup and put them on the assassins. And yes, IG will kind of say, okay, we need to actually make sure we get ourselves a bot lane, because otherwise there are going to be more AD carries. There won't be any AD carries left to pick if they let them go into the next ban phase. So they pick up the Draven. Could still be an Annie flex to the bot side. Does give you that hard engage, but wouldn't be surprised to see maybe OMG cover their bases and maybe ban away something like the Nautilus, just to be sure to be sure.
I think you have to ban away the Nautilus, because I look at this Annie, and as we were saying, like, I think it was last Worlds, we actually saw the Annie into the Yone even before all of these buffs came through to that champion. Annie does well into that champion, even though you have the Sejuani as the melee synergy, which can of course upset a number of mid laners. Locking this Draven though, I want to focus on that a little bit more, because we've already seen OMG are going to have backline access. You can have a Yone ult flying through, you're going to have the red carpet laid down on top of that. This Draven, unless they hyper snowball, is going to have a very difficult time team fighting, because those ultimates are just going to lock them out of the fight. I'm wondering what IG can lock in alongside this Draven in terms of as a whole composition, which can help IG get off to such an early advantage that they don't have to contend with OMG's considerable team fighting power, even with just the first 3 picks locked in.
Yeah, and I like the coverage we're getting right now from OMG's bans. They get rid of the Galio, kind of say, okay, look, we're not going to let Dovo go on Galio duty and just kind of lock in the Camille for YSKM, go for that big kind of, you know, all-in engage on one person and kill them. And they also get rid of the Aurelia as well, so kind of making sure that Shanji isn't going in too worse for wear in this top lane. And then the Annie is going to be going down into supports. That is going to be the Sylas into the mid lane, you would also imagine. It can technically flex to a top lane. We have seen it before, but generally speaking, that is what's going to be picked for Dove.
Yeah, we're expecting that to go towards that mid lane. Of course, Dove has played an awful lot of this champion as well. So, okay, throw out that analysis about the Annie into the Yone. It's going to be the Annie support, most presumably. Sylas has a lot of topside ultimates to steal. Fate sealed, great. The Sejuani ultimate, of course, one of the top ones for Sylas on the patch. On the other side, though, if you're looking at trying to play towards the Annie flashing forward, the Lee Sin getting onto a target, their job is going to be so hard into Xayah Rakan. We haven't seen this duo picked up that much. Actually, we've seen Xayah with Nautilus, Xayah with Leona a couple of times. Getting the Lovers duo coming back out. IG finishing off their draft with a Gwen in the top side, so very fun AP versus AP matchup towards that top side. And I love this so much, Ashin, because we put this on paper and said, look, both of these teams, they love their team fights, but they do it in unique ways. When I look at the way that these two teams have drafted, it does play into their strengths. You've got some 1v1 strength for IG, the long-range engage from OMG. This is exactly what I wanted to see from these teams facing up against each other.
This is exactly the kind of style we wanted to see. This is what we wanted to try and bring out. I do like that the fact that Abel and PP God have had to go.
He's shown before. Very important to see if that's another champion which he can pilot to that same kind of level. Of course, towards that bot side as well. We've talked about the top side of IG fairly heavily. This bot lane, though, picking into volatility as well. It's not like Arn and Wink haven't played the Draven before. But it's still just an extra kind of factor of volatility towards that bot side, which they haven't always gone towards.
They didn't know where to go after that, did they? They didn't know what was going on. They were kind of thinking about maybe going for a third chant, but didn't quite formulate.
So, do we got to pick up here? Are they going to go for it? Going to give some really odd movements?
I like letting the Gyos roar. I like to see, you know, kind of the coordination with it. It's a nice little thing to have. It's as close to a live audience that myself and yourself are going to get anyway, at least for the next little while. But we'll see where they want to try to go for this one. Good little early ward here from Dove to give IG ideas of where the Sejuani should be starting. But outside of that, it's going to be pretty bog standard. Both junglers starting off on their Raptors and should be moving across to their top and bot respectfully. And then we should just be able to kind of see where this one goes. But I really want to see what they're able to do now on this bot side, because Wink should be able to get some decent damage down, especially with that cleanse onto On. Having that available to him to stop really any kind of, you know, backwards trading should be pretty key here for IG.
And we've got to see where these junglers start to make their impact as well. My read is Gideon needs to get a fair amount of work done, which has not necessarily been his job in spring 2023 so far. He's picked a lot of more reactive picks. He's played a lot of Maokai, which is not the best ganking jungler in the game. Very good at counter ganking, though. He's typically allowed and trusted his lanes to get ahead by themselves. In this game, I don't think you have that same kind of degree of safety. Like we said, Draven going to really struggle into the team fight later into the game. If a Rumble ult hits him, the Yone gets on top of him, going to have a very bad time. So Gideon, a little bit more obligation to do things early than maybe we've seen before.
He has got the tools to do it. We've seen plenty of Lee Sin kind of creeping back into the LPL meta. It's been great to see, to be perfectly honest. And certain junglers definitely very happy to have that early skirmishing power back.
Do you reckon if like Lee Sin, if they just writ down on the patch notes that he was buffed but didn't change the numbers, do you reckon they just play him anyway? LPL loves Lee Sin.
Yep, I 100% believe that. I think that it's I think every jungler loves playing Lee Sin because of the skill expression you get with him. You know, the ward hops, the flashes and stuff, and it's just fun.
I completely agree with that. It's it was kind of said back in Season 4, Season 5 that Lee Sin would always be meta. Even if he did 0 damage, he'd still be played. And honestly, he's lasted a very long time considering he's been in pro meta for such a long time and had so many changes to the champion, so many nerfs over time, let's be honest. And as you see, that Gideon is on the bot side of this map. Hasn't found early inroads into any lanes just yet. Sometimes his level 3s can be a bit hard to pull off, and sometimes some harder ganking junglers like a Jarvan is heading towards this mid lane though. Double buffs. Creme maybe trying to see what he can do with Creme Q charge. Creme sniffs it out, stays safe.
Yeah, smart moves there, recognizing, look, don't have information, don't need to go for it, so never really going to kill the Sylas anyway in a 1v1 in that regard. Just getting a nice little early advantage for himself, and the Rumble, definitely a Shanji kind of exclusive pocket coming out here. Yeah, like, and it does feel like it covers a lot of what you want to do right now. You look at the AoE engage coming out from OMG to be able to kind of follow up there with the equalizer. There is so much that you have to be so afraid of in terms of IG that you get caught in a 3-man, you know, quickness. You get caught up with the Fate Sealed. You're in a hell of a lot of trouble because you're going to be boiling with that equalizer.
Well, heck, even Abel in the right situation can add into that combo. A good Feather Core can lock up an overzealous YSKM, Gideon, Dove. If that root comes through, Shanji has so much setting him up for success. And, you know, he was doing this last year as well. Right the way in spring of 2022, when I was kind of looking over at the LPL as a region, he's one of the players that stood out to me as someone who had found a way to break the meta. When you have immobile carries in the backline, something like Varus, Victor, in this case the Draven as well, Rumble does this despicable things to those champions. They cannot stand in that ultimate. They get absolutely roasted. So maybe an extra degree of difficulty for IG where you think you want to get the Draven ahead, but you also kind of need to put the Rumble behind as well. Gideon, the more I think about it, this Lee Sin has to do an awful lot. And with 5 minutes into the game, Gideon's not blown any flashes, not ended up comboing up his lanes just yet. And I think they need to do a little more, Machine. I think they need to do a bit more to keep themselves afloat.
I mean, it's kind of just been passively walking around. Aki's been farming up, getting himself nicely leveled, as we see an attempt at an engage in that bot side, but not to be done just yet, as Aki is in the area. Wink moving forward. They don't have the grand entrance, so not really in a position to make that one really work. PP God loses about 2/3 of his health bar because of it, and now Gideon maybe heard you chatting some smack and maybe looking to try and make something work. It has got the Fate Seal though on Creme, which makes this very difficult. So they're going to try and really fully engage onto it. 2-man knocked up. The Fate Seal will only bring Dove so far away. He'll get knocked up. He'll be taken out. And a flash burn by Gideon as well. What looked like IG, OMG could turn around completely.
That is the classic, call an ambulance, but not for me. Creme notices Aki is just over the wall, and he decides to go all in. Aggressors in the melee versus melee matchup. Creme, honestly, he's done this an awful lot on this champion too. We can talk about the unique pick coming out from Shanji. Creme loves this Yone as a flavor as well. And suddenly, IG, they go for their first play. They go for their first kind of lease-in activation across the map. That doesn't work. God gets involved as well, and OMG, they are absolutely laughing after the first couple of minutes. They get gold into that Yone. That is absolutely all green lights for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Look at the replay here as well. And again, like you said, it's just kind of Creme really smartly recognizing he's got support.
And it has support. I just feel like this is a poorly timed play. Just overestimating what IG can do in their kind of time span there. Bot lane hasn't pushed into the turret. You don't know for certain that God is under that turret. In fact, you probably know that he's not. IG just not aware of the moving members, and OMG punishing him for that. So goal onto the Yone, death onto Dove as well, and no real snowball started in any kind of earnest way from IG. Herald's coming up next 30 seconds. Doesn't look like they're rotating towards that right now. And with YSKM kind of permanently pinned under turret, IG, I don't think they'll have the best platform to even go towards that either. So OMG, early game, pretty much everything working out for them. They've got the gold in decent places, and Herald should be working out in their own way too.
I mean, look at the CS leads as well coming out from that top side. It's going to be about 20 or so after this wave is killed off, but that's still an obnoxious amount of pressure you're able to kind of build here with Shanji on this Rumble. So Rift Herald has been spawned, and it looks like Shanji is trying to put himself in position there. But he's honestly, this is the perfect Rumble start. You've got yourself your damage and your pen. It's so big. Your burst damage, especially with the poke you put out, is ridiculous.
Yeah, the Hextech Triangle, the alternator, gives you a good amount of burst. You have the Ignite as well. IG are going to get themselves onto this Herald first, though. Support's roamed up, so Wink is going to be there. OMG a little slow to the play. I don't know whether OMG should have allowed them to get access to this objective so quickly, but they're maybe looking to pin them on the objective, put down the carpet, and welcome them in.
I mean, On's not coming. IG can't fight this. On has to stay bot side to make sure he farms up, so this is just OMG saying, yeah, we're fine. You wasted a lot of time and pressure up at this top side, but you can't go for it. We're not going to lose a lot for it either.
Yeah, I mean, IG, from the way that we were reading it, they shouldn't have been going towards Herald at all. You're against this Rumble with huge power spikes. You've already lost that. Oh, this is a bit of an overstep, Mabel.
Oh, it is all right for the moment. Cleanse is good to get rid of that stun, but almost a bad situation there for the bot laner of OMG. Should mean that the Rift Herald for Dragon Trade does end up coming in, but now no cleanse on Abel, so you know what? Good moves from IG to make sure they punish a little bit of a lazy rotation.
Yeah, that's something. And now you have Draven in a kind of a on the strong side of the map. Draven, whenever they're on the strong side of the map, when you start splitting things, has the extra degree of threat. So if you give up one kill, shutdown comes through, snowball starts at that point. So IG maybe looking to play towards that, particularly with that cleanse down, as you were saying. But either way, IG kind of slipping up in the last minute or two around that Herald rotation. I feel like they really shouldn't have looked towards that. They wasted a lot of time, which could have been used towards trying to make a play elsewhere. And OMG, once again, feeling very happy about how this early game is evolving for them.
We'll see what they want to work with right now. OMG very much in control, having winning lanes, apart from bot lane, of course. But even then, you're not really worried about that particular setup at the moment. As we can see, YSKM just trying to farm, dude. He just wants to try and get as much gold as he possibly can. But Shanji knows there's not going to be any fights anytime soon. Drops the equalizer to clear the wave, to harass, to kind of say, look, you will lose at least 1 or 2 minions every single wave.
And the thing about casting ults under turret like this is that you are forcing an ult out of YSKM. Forcing on the turret, the fights are definitely not happening for IG.
Oh, the Ignite comes down. They need to get into the mist. They cannot take him out just yet. Flash has to be burned. It's in response to YSKM's flash, but now Gideon finding his way towards this top side. He's going to find Shanji. He's going to be able to find a kill here. Actually, no, Shanji. He's going to look for the execute. Oh! He can't get it. Gideon lands the Sonic Wave. And a bit of an overstep from OMG.
Yeah, that's a bit overzealous. Just saying that IG, they're not going to find their own fights. You're pinning this Gwen in the tower. You don't have to overforce things. OMG, things going fine for them. Now Shanji's burned both of his summoners. YSKM's going to be able to push in a full wave into tower. Probably going to get himself a plate as well. That's a much needed breath of fresh air from IG, particularly towards this top side. Maybe YSKM, with that kind of reprieve, can find something a little extra for himself towards it to get him into the game. IG. Now, I'm not saying they deserve to get that, but it was handed to them. They pick up the pieces. They'll take it, right?
Look, I'm saying, if there's nobody around and you find 20 euros on the ground, you're not obligated to do anything about it. That, you know, it sucks. You don't deserve it. Someone lost 20 quid, but you know, no one's around. That's how it is, you know? Take the W.
It's like when you've kind of put like some jeans into the wash or something like that. You take them out, and you realize that there's a €5 note in there or something. It's like, oh, that's like a present from me to me. I don't really know I deserve this. I lost it in the first place. Maybe I should have snowballed that early game a little harder, but hey, we take it. So now Gideon gets that first kill. Now, that still needs to be used somehow. You need to actually use that gold to start a snowball off somewhere. Currently, IG down 1,500 gold. They're getting to the point where the first team fights of the game are going to start coming through when you get to second and third dragon fights, first items being hit. And IG, I don't think they're in a great position to take straight 5v5s. They need to start finding picks around the corner of team fights. Maybe Gideon can help in regards to that with gold that he's just picked up. As you can see, Aki making sure that's going to be a bit harder to do though. Trying to get some vision out, but Shanji's left alone on the weak side of the map. Potentially top side play incoming.
I was going to say, Gideon obviously wasn't looking at his own screen right there, or not on his own character, so didn't recognize that there was a ward just standing on him. The equalizer comes out just to clear that wave, so there will guarantee be no dive coming in.
Okay, so I gotta jump in because that reminds me of a very cool thing. The player which I always remember when it comes to that is going to be the weirdest tangent. In Season 5, there was the Jin Air top player called Trace. He used to just do this all the time, where he just literally just walk up, clear the wave, understand that he was going to get the farm with his ultimate, but basically not impact the game outside of that, just nullify the lane. Shanji paying some respect to his forebears of that champion, great Rumble players of the past. And you can see that YSKM tries to push out and get a trade in that replay picture-in-picture.
They know they're there. Yeah. They know they're there. They're going to stop him here. You have a flash here from Wink. No stun just yet. Quickness comes out just to try and delay. Gideon was on his way down as well. Honestly, I feel like that was 100% necessary from PP God to make sure they didn't lose any summoners before this dragon fight in a minute.
Yeah, a bit of a brush ward diff. PP God, I'm not sure. Yeah, he's not in danger there, but IG, credit to them, trying to get Gideon involved somehow, some way, get onto the board, who is going to get himself some plates down here as well, even up the plate score with that Herald used earlier from OMG. We are still left with OMG with a healthy gold advantage. First items coming through after these resets come through from pretty much everyone across the board, and still yet to really see the first heavy hammer blow hit in this game.
Not too crazy just yet. You are picking up pretty much first items for everybody, as you can see there. The Immortal Shield Bow and Gale Force picked up for Creme enable respectfully, as we see, ooh, right between the sticks, not able to get it on, will flash away as there's no quickness to really lock him up. Flash by Wink is defensive. The Face Shield is not going to land, but it does not matter. And they find their man. They just get themselves an opportunity where they know they have numbers advantage, and they make it work for OMG.
Yeah, the Annie didn't have stun up, couldn't retreat fast enough, couldn't peel for themselves. IG, despite not getting caught in the initial engage, can't protect everyone on the return. See that? Shanji, of course, he doesn't have the teleport. He has to walk down to these plays preemptively, and once again, we see one of those classic Rumble ults clearing out in the turret. Shanji maybe looking to overheat onto YSKM here, but definitely comes out well enough.
Definitely going for a bit of a trade. Still very difficult, really, for YSKM to really do anything, even without the Rumble ult being available.
So, Dragon goes over to OMG, which means that we have one early Dragon apiece. That is also problematic for IG. They haven't managed to get themselves gold into the advantage anywhere across the map, really. Haven't managed to get themselves objectives into their pockets either. So, OMG, once again, starting to get to the point where they can maybe start to really threaten this Draven if he should ever overstep in any of these team fights, despite him having very strong itemization on this patch, on the 13.3 patch. Gideon looking around the corner. Seeing if we can catch someone out there. Second Herald has spawned. Maybe looking for our first fist fight of the game.
Kill one pink ward and another shall take its place, as IG do not want to lose control around this mid lane just yet. They've got on sitting on a pretty decent item spike himself. How's that Essence Reaver? Still yet to get a cash out, as he's sitting on about 490, I think it is, maybe 500 stacks. So it's a lot of gold. It's a hell of a lot of gold if he's able to try and get that one cashed out for himself, but it might be around this Rift Herald. It's a dragon apiece, 2 kills to 1 to the good for OMG, and they've got themselves a 3,000 gold lead, which is helping them out, especially with some of these more expensive items they've looked to pick up in the first bit of the game. IG, not to be outdone, are moving around. I will say that it's OMG who have the lanes kind of set up much better for themselves. Bot lane and top lane are pushing against the side of IG, so you gotta be very careful now. They're gonna walk straight in here onto YSKM, who isn't really in a position to fight this, so he's gonna take a big bad trade. Doesn't have the mist anymore, and has nowhere to go. He's just left on his lonesome. The equalizer makes sure there is no cavalry to come in, and IG, it just feels like they're being picked apart.
This is what happens when you can't just brute force your way into the river with early power, with early item advantages. IG, they had a very specific window of time to get ahead in this game in earnest, and they've not really managed to do that. OMG, credit to them. They understand that as long as IG aren't in the river, and kind of forcing OMG to kind of not use their combo efficiently, they have all the time in the world to look for their plays. They don't rush onto the Herald. They go back towards that mid lane take up and take that outer turret there, and now walking away with another set of gold to their advantage. Very, very happy again with how that is working out. Another kill onto Creme. And I actually understand why YSKM was looking for that play. You see the bot lane outer turret with no local gold being going over to IG. So that's another kind of bit of cash being taken away from them. But YSKM is just trying to find some way to stop OMG from getting the optimal combo. Look for a flank, threat them so they can't just put that Rumble ultimate onto everyone across the team, but it's just not in the right timing with the rest of his team picked off, and that's going to lead to mid lane outer turret down, Herald going down, number of kills going over. OMG very happy.
I mean, this is really great to see from OMG. They had a bit of a slow start, you know, obviously only sitting on 3 and 4, not exactly in the playoff picture just yet. Gideon getting a bit annoyed right now. They have the Sejuani ultimate in the back pocket for Dove, but not really able to gain anything off it. But for OMG, they brought in PP God to improve off of 2022 summer. They wanted to make sure that they got a bit further ahead, and it feels like after a couple of games, a bit more synergy being built up with this team, it is starting to pay dividends. They are starting to look like one of those teams that can, you know, maybe creep into...
not again.
Myself here. They're going to walk in. Yeah, you can't do anything. ISKM, he's just got nothing to go here, and honestly, I feel like this competition from IG is so reliant on Gideon getting the engage, or even Dove would have stolen Sejuani ult, that there's just not else that they can really do.
And, you know, in previous series, earlier in the split, maybe YSKM had gotten solo kills in lane. Maybe he'd gotten to the point where he is an individual force. That is not the case in this game. He's picked up the Gwen, which he's not played this split. We've definitely had some worries about YSKM's champion pool, and you can see that in moments like this, it feels like YSKM is just a little bit lost. He doesn't really connect with his team. We saw around that mid lane, and up here too, doesn't understand the threat that he's under. Goes down very easily at that point. And OMG, this is an absolute cakewalk for them.
It doesn't look hard. It really doesn't look hard. They've tried to make something work now on the PP God. They will get Dove to steal away the quickness. TP comes out. There is no quickness available for PP God for this potential dragon fight, so big engage tool no longer available, but you've got so many added options now. 10 seconds. IG are trying to defend this, but again, it's OMG are kind of saying it's second dragon. We don't care right now. You can take it. It doesn't make a difference.
Yeah, well, it's not like IG can force it down when they're forcing down mid. Shanji's doing a hell of a lot of damage.
It's 2 fights. Gideon almost dies. He gets ignited, nearly taken away. As you can see, it's IG. They don't know where they want to go. They don't know what they want to do right now. They're being pulled. They're being stretched. There's an equalizer. It's slowing down on, taking huge chunks out of his health bar. There's the Sejuani ultimate to land on the wing. Nobody has died just yet, but little by little, bit by bit, IG are just falling at the seams. Look at the health bars of OMG. They've lost nothing.
They've lost nothing because they know IG. They have to hard commit into them if they're looking for a fight. Shanji goes, okay, I'm gonna go, you know, farm some Nymaera to stacks, just get that item propped onto Arn, onto Wink on the side, onto whoever he can. Take down those HP bars so IG can't look for a good engage. And OMG, they're playing so patiently. The IG, they're running out of options. They seem lacking inspiration and definitely lacking the gold which they would realistically like to be fighting with.
I mean, we just saw a little highlight there. It's over 600 stacks now for on this Draven. But
this is like
what
Domino's Draven. You know
I
that
was
one
just
game where it
about to
ended
say
0-0?
he ended 0-1 and 0 because he died right at the end, I believe. But
yeah.
again, it doesn't matter how much stacks you have if you never get to fight, if you never get to interact. And right there was a perfect example of what's been happening. It's a 6,000 gold lead right now for OMG.
Dog steals the Glacial Prison. I mean, that can be a source of inspiration for them, but it feels, again, too little, too late. IG, they departed a little bit from what they have succeeded with in the past. YSKM on a strong individual champion that he's a little bit more comfortable on. Didn't have access to them in this one. Oh,
they're
engage
looking
at
for
least.
it. This is it. They're going to go for it, but it's on the tankiest member of OMG. The fates are sealed. The stacks have been taken away. YSKM is finally here, but he can't do anything about it. They looked for a pit, and they got routed.
Oh, that is absolutely disgusting from OMG. The first time IG group up in the same spot, they are punished for the audacity of stacking together. The AoE comes through. This is what IG have been trying to avoid for the last 22 minutes. They group up once and they get absolutely blown up. Gonna go back into replay to see how this happened because IG, their own jungle is not theirs anymore. This is what happens when you lose so many mid lane turrets. You don't have the ability to defend your own jungle. OMG come out of it, and they get to lay everything on top of each other. No one is free to do damage. YSKM is not in the right place to really turn things around either. OMG, seriously impressive how they've controlled the game to get to these huge engages.
And I love the way they layered their ultimates as well, because they could have just said, oh, let's go for the one line, everyone goes this way, we win.
No,
but they didn't. But that's the thing, like, it's the fact that they went, okay, Equalizer goes vertically, Fate Seal goes horizontally. They cannot escape. There is literally no direction you can go where you're not taking unholy amounts of damage.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
Do you reckon you could do like an arts and crafts thing? It's like we're gonna draw like a horizontal line here, and then we think that we have the feathers kind of going across this diagonal. It's actually modern art.
It's like Art Attack all over again.
Yeah, it's like the M in OMG actually stands for modern art. It's crazy. I never knew that. I'm learning that today. But they're really
mosaic. Like, it's just incredible. Like,
oh, mosaic! God.
Yeah.
Well,
oh my God. It's incredible.
Well, IG might need to return back to some color theory for a next game, which looks like it's inevitably going to be one which they're going to have to crawl out of a series deficit from. They're sat under their inhibitor turret. Engage comes through.
Oh my God, there goes so much damage. You can't really defend this. It doesn't kill anybody just yet, but they're going to try and get Wing engaged, but it's not coordinated. Wing gets a great stun, but the equalizer, the stolen equalizer from Dove is just not going to be in the right place at the right time. So now 11,000 gold down, your base is being cracked open, you don't really have any gauge options. It's got to come down to Gideon with a kick, but he's got no flash.
Yeah, he doesn't have that. Wing, can you miss it? Your support's gone. The Annie not able to stand and fight with that stun for not nearly the first time this game. Wink has had a couple of these games this split where he's fallen behind the curve of the game, and he kind of doubles down on some aggressive players, gets caught out looking for those big engages. And OMG, you know the thing which really impresses me about this game? It's just looked so easy. They haven't panicked at all. They had one overforce under that top lane out of the turret, which could have gone better for them. Shanji, the one death of this game for OMG. In fact, in the aftermath of that play, OMG, they get themselves their comfort picks, and they look so calm about it.
It's just, honestly, so great to see for OMG, and they're still not done yet because they got 2 items, 2.5 on this on this rumble. And they can initiate with that. TP going to be coming in. That's Creme. He's not got himself a great position to be here. Does get the fate sealed and the kick, but Dove TPs as well. So he's now caught a little bit too far forward as they look to try and make this really scrappy engage. A flash forward as the feathers do fly. The stolen Sejuani ult does stop any more advancement, but Dove is dead. Minions are pouring in. OMG are kind of having fun at this point.
Oh, yeah. There is actually no threat of a re-engage after that point. I mean, as soon as the Draven is hit by any of the big ultimates, he can't fight. It doesn't matter that he's got 2.5 items going on 3. Yeah, maybe Draven can turn things around with a huge shutdown from his ultimate, because of course the stacks you have give you the extra execute damage, but as soon as something tags him, just can't fight. And IG, well, I don't want to say I told you so, but we definitely told them so right after draft. You haven't found any solutions. Gideon's going to die for his trouble as well.
This is rough, to say the least, at the moment. And the Dragon that puts OMG up on the soul point. And this game feels all but done. And honestly, it's literally one turret, one kill. Outside of that, it has been a perfect game from OMG. They have literally lost nothing, if not very little. They have not allowed IG to come into it, and it does feel like it came from the draft. This draft from IG is so limited in how it can actually function, and with the ideas that OMG came in with is that, okay, we're going to win lane. We got the Yone, we got the Sejuani to combo with him, so mid lane's going to be fine. As I say that, stop myself because Wing's getting engaged upon. He's dead. There's going to be the Draven trying to get his stacks off, but remember, he lost about half of those. Dove is running between his turret and his inhibitor, trying to figure out which one he wants to die under because he's not going to last much longer. I say that, he just about keeps himself alive. Gale Force not enough to kill him off, but Lee Sin shall not be as lucky. Third and final inhibitor will fall, and yeah, Nymaera, it's got to go back to the drawing board and draft.
It has. This is not unknown from OMG. This is exactly how they play if you give them the chance to. IG let them have their comfort picks, and they send them to their graves with it.
Oh, PP God gives over 1,000 gold shut down. 2 kills now over the side of IG. They're not quite done just yet. They do lose everything. All things are done. As we can see the feathers going flying. W trying to maybe get a bit of a movement here. Will not be punished as they do get the Xayah down, but I'm not trying to get excited. It's good for IG, but I mean, look at guys, your baits. Like, you gotta lose the game. Stop chasing kills.
Yeah, this game is still over, but OMG, I mean, that game is really nearly over. Yeah, Winning's trying to do their best to help out their team, which are continually running into IG, missing a load of skill shots, and very nearly losing the game. 3 inhibs, 3 lanes of super minions do a heck of a lot of work and leave a lot of wave clearing duty up for the sides of IG. They get themselves some shutdowns, but OMG, yeah, the fact that they're still, the game is trying to end. The game is effectively over. OMG, the only people who are just standing between themselves and winning this first game.
I mean, honestly, it looks like they're going to take the Baron that's spawning in 12 seconds, and then Baron with double super minions in every wave. You can imagine that is not impossible to defend against. As OMG just wanted to give them a little bit of fun. They wanted to give them the cash out so people can't be like, oh, if you got the cash out, they would have won. It's like, no, you got it and still lost.
You know when you play like a single player game, and you know that the map is very obviously heading towards this is where the story progresses, and that's why you go into the closet on the left-hand side to see if there's any like collectibles or loot or like something you missed. That is what OMG are doing. They just sat here and go, but what if I didn't end the game? What if there were more stats to be had? What if there was more damage to be done? Pick up some more items. They kept themselves in their fancy new equipment, and this should realistically be very much the end of the game.
It should be the end of the game, but we'll see if IG can pull off a bit of a miracle. If they can pull this off, I'll get a little bit more excited. The inhibitors are respawning in bot mid, but here we go. A little bit of a stolen ultimate there. Great equalizer to try and just pepper down these health bars. As IG trying to see if they can make this one work. Dove goes in, the Lee Sin is already dead. Gideon wasn't really able to do much of anything, to be perfectly honest, this game. The Rumble shall fall 5-3 and 5. But at the end of it all, it is going to be OMG comfortably taking a win over IG.
That is about as easy as you like from OMG. You pick everything that you're comfortable with, and IG just let it get away with it. Didn't give him any problems in the early game, didn't really give him any problems in the team fights. The only victories which IG had, it felt, were the ones which OMG just let them have. For the next game, I really want to see a couple of things. I want to see Gideon off of the Lee Sin, which has to be more proactive, onto something that can react a bit more. Something a bit more like the Maokai, which we've seen a lot. I know that was banned in this last game. But that kind of archetype, something that can counter-gank rather than be the aggressive force. And then you have to get YSKM back onto one of his champions, which he can succeed in a 1v1 as well. Shanji, if he's winning lane as a Rumble like that, that is a huge issue when you have, as IG, one of the most impressive top laners of this split so far. That shouldn't be allowed to pass for free.
Absolutely. And look, the Gwen isn't going to be able to do anything when they're constantly in the turret, they get no resources, and they're not able to fight. That's the whole thing. The Gwen, it just thrives in those situations where they can kind of bait you in, maybe get a big cooldown off. But the only real big cooldown he has is his ultimate, and even then, it's not really going to be the big engage tool that you expect it to be. So just the constant poke, the constant harassment against the Rumble, and you knew it was coming. It was you had seen the Rumble throughout the entire thing. You saw the entire composition. The Gwen just doesn't really fit into that particular setup. So really feels like IG just set up their top lane to fail. It didn't really work out for the side of YSKM, and for OMG, honestly, this is why I'm quietly excited about this team. Yes, they lost to Ultra Prime earlier this week. That's a bit of a setback there. But you look at some of the other losses that they've actually picked up this year. Is that, like I said, they lost to RNG, still a pretty decent team. They lost to RA, solid enough team, and they lost to LNG. So it's like, okay, these are all pretty decent teams that they're losing against, and majority of those go to 2-1 anyway. So they are a decent team. They're just slowly coming together. And today we saw the addition of everything coming together and finally showing the results of what this team can be. And it just looked clean, looked perfect.
Yeah, and up until the shenanigans around the Nexus, they were largely pretty clean with it, and they didn't panic. They managed to pull off their combo, and they didn't really give... Like we said, the only time IG won was when OMG kind of let them win.
Yep.
But of course, moving forward into the rest of the draft, the real question will be, how do you perform when you don't have these real... kind of eponymous picks with your team, the ones which you've made your name on, the ones which have defined you as a team? What happens if you don't have the Rumble or that Yone, which you've played so much around? IG, I think they could very much look to deny them in the next couple of games, because this was far too comfortable for them. Yeah,
I mean, look, IG, you banned 5 AD carries, and then bot lane didn't matter, because Abel and PP God still were able to just kind of survive. Xayah Rakan is a combination that is so safe and so good at just kind of absorbing a lot of this pressure that you're never really going to be able to find an advantage there, unfortunately, even though you have a hard kill bot lane. So I feel like your strategy just needs to completely change, and you need to try and just kind of cover your top lane and play through what's strong for you. Like, On and Wink have been fine this split, but the way IG have won has been through Dove and Gideon, has been through YSKM getting those big advantages. So play to your strengths. Yes, it is a strength of OMG's as well, but at least give yourselves a shot.
Yeah. So, like I said, a lot of this comes down to draft. We'll have to chat about that when that comes back up on the screen. But, yeah, IG, they have to really step up in Game 2. That was unceremonious.
Yeah, it was not pretty, but great for OMG. We're going to